You're listening to the Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CIPFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting the podcast section of the Public Finance website. Hello, I'm John Watkins, Group Editor of Public Finance and your host for this next episode of our PF Live podcast series. The episode is sponsored by Workday and is titled Beyond Efficiency, How AI Can Help UK Public Finance Do More with Less. In the episode, we will take the AI conversation beyond the hype to explore where public sector bodies really are on the adoption curve, what they can borrow from private sector finance functions, and how any efficiencies can be used to protect and improve services rather than simply being booked in as cuts. To discuss all of that, I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Andy Ventnor, Regional Director, Public Services at Workday, and also Mohit Jain, Finance Transformation Director at Sovereign Network Group. Andy, Mohit, great to have you here.
Good to be here.
Good to be here. Thanks very much. We'd like to kick off these sessions just by asking our guests what they've thought of Public Finance Live so far, what they've really enjoyed. What's been the best bit for you guys so far? How have you found it?
It's been really good. I've been coming to Public Finance Live for quite a long time. Best bit about this is always about meeting up with old work colleagues.
Yeah.
You tend to build up a network, and this is a great place to catch people because they're super busy day to day.
Yeah, networking's always good here, Mohit.
No, this is my first public sector Public Finance Live event. I've been to housing events, so this is very similar in feel, but it's good to sort of get a different perspective and have lots of conversations around AI and what it means. So actually quite topical given our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. AI is very prominent on the agenda this year, as it is, I guess, in most sectors, as we're seeing its rapid rise. So let's get right into this theme now. AI is everywhere right now, and every organization seems to be asking themselves what it can do for them. Where are we in terms of AI in public sector finance specifically, though? I mean, is it moving, Andy, from buzzword to business critical in the public sector as well as other sectors?
It is, but I think it's still taking a bit more time to settle in. We've done some research where we look at the capability of AI. And when you do that, you can see there's a clear hockey stick with AI's capability versus adoption. And public services, public sector, the adoption curve slightly lower than private sector services. But I think there's obviously lots of reasons why that is. And, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly from where we are at sort of Sovereign Network Group, we've been quite cautious in our adoption of AI. We've been putting in place policies, oversight, governance around all of those things. But I think, one of the driving differences is, we don't have that competitive pressure perhaps that private sector does. So actually as public services, we're much more around kind of making sure the data is right, make sure it's protected. So we are getting there, and there is a growing interest and appetite in it, but it's just slower to take off.
Yeah, and we hear that, a lot in public sector, that it slightly lags the private sector often when it is implementing something new or a change. Perhaps, but so are there things that the public sector can learn from what the private sector has done on its journey to adoption so far? Is that private sector playbook, transferable straight into the public sector?
100%, I believe it is, yes. So I like to talk about the IKEA case study. So if you do Google on IKEA case study, adoption of AI, what they did is they actually had a large workforce responding to customer questions, so FAQs. And so they introduced AI into that process, and they were able to free up quite a large proportion of those of that workforce. Instead of using that opportunity to drive down costs and do layoffs, what they actually did is they retrained that workforce to actually deliver better services. And in this case particularly, what they did is they retrained them to deal with the 20% off FAQs that were still left. And what they actually found, a lot of those questions were around design. And so they took that workforce that they managed to free up, they retrained them to deal with the design FAQs. And what they saw is they saw an increase in sales and profitability. Now, when you translate that into public services, AI has the opportunity to simplify and reduce repetitive tasks in the back office, for example, freed up a workforce that can and should be retrained, I believe, to help deliver on some of that frontline services. Because as we know, that whole phrase, do more with less, it's only increasing within public services. And they're not going to get more workforce. And I don't believe that they should reduce the workforce. They should repurpose that and retrain that actually to deal with the frontline services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mohit, you agree, do you, that the private sector playbook can be transferred into the public sector? There's lots of learnings there for implementation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing probably that's also to call out is probably finance up generally, whether it's private or public, behind the curve, compared to that case study of IKEA, which is frontline services. So finance typically lags slightly as well. So I think, but if you look at a private sector finance function, they still have accounts payable, they still have accounts receivable, you still have to do a month-end close. So all of those things are directly translatable to public sector.
In terms of sort of skills and capabilities specifically that public sector organizations will need to have to turn theory into success and ensure a sort of smooth implementation, do you have a sense of what it is they need to really accelerate their AI journeys at the moment? Do you have a sense of what the core skills and capabilities are that they'll need if they're really going to take advantage of this, IW?
So if I sort of take that and use Sovereign Network Group as an example, so Sovereign Network Group were formed from a merger of two housing associations about 3 years ago. So we had 2 legacy finance systems, 2 legacy chart of accounts, 2 legacy data sets. So that wasn't an environment we could land AI into. So actually our journey very much has been, we need to modernize that. We need to get our data right. We need to get our governance right. We went live with Workday in April. So now we have a platform that we can start thinking about AI and how we deliver it, and then the skills and capabilities we need to bring into the teams to do that. But I think if we think about that, your question directly, it's about you need people with that sense of curiosity and adventure just to try some things. And we need to, as management teams and leadership, we need to give them the space to make some mistakes and to learn and grow with that. Because I think it's all new to everyone. There isn't a huge amount of expertise out there. You can say, yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. It's just been there for a year or 2 years in terms of, if I look at the journey we've gone on from procurement to implementation, to Andy's point about the hockey stick earlier. We've seen that, in terms of what we were talking about when we did pre-procurement and what capability is now. It's hugely different, and it will be again in 3 years from now. So I think it's just that willingness to continually grow, I think, is the real key thing, I think.
It's mindset as well as skills.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. And Andy, you're out in the field, working with organizations like Mohit. So what are you seeing in terms of their need for the skills and capabilities to implement?
Huge need for that. What I find where we see a lot more success is, and almost coming back to Mohit's point, is that curiosity, that need of wanting to understand what all of this stuff means. And really, for me, public services, public sector need to lean into vendors a lot more. Speak to the vendors, take the time to engage with and really understand how and what the vendors are offering. Because we all assume this.
Starting joking. Watch.
If you wanted proof that we are recording live, then the major announcement about attending next sessions is there for all to hear. Andy, sorry, carry on.
No, it's very timely. Like I say, speak to the vendors, work with the vendors, really understand what the vendors offering. There's a lot of AI out there.
Yeah.
AI is a buzzword. It's almost like saying there's one NHS. There isn't. It's NHS has multiple organizations. There's a lot of AI flavors out there. So really understand the different types of AI, speak to the vendors, work with the vendors. They've got the skills that are transferable back into public sector as well.
Yeah, and Andy, we've talked before about, we mentioned in the intro there, the importance of AI-driven savings being reinvested into service capacity and not just sort of booked as savings and cuts. Talk us through why that's so important to you and why you feel so passionate about that message.
I've been working with public services for over 20 years, and I've always tried to support the organizations that I work with because I understand, look, I'm a taxpayer. I'm at the receiving end, especially when you come to local government, for example, on their services, and you can see the impact it has on citizens. So if we can help as vendors to public sector, public services, to increase that frontline services, I will feel it personally, directly, but so will every other citizen as well. So I think, we need to understand these organizations are delivering really valuable services, and it impacts people's lives.
And you're seeing that, Mohit, are you? The ability to use this saved money as to improve frontline services.
Yeah, and you see it also as... Sorry, carry on. That's right. You also see it within the finance team, and a number of conversations I had here at the conference around there have been years of cuts in our finance teams. Teams are stretched. Everyone's working really hard. So actually, if AI can come in and help the teams, relieve some of that workload pressure, it's going to be better for work-life balance for all our team members. But also you think more long-term around service sustainability. How do we attract new talent into our finance teams? We've got to be investing in new technology so we get new blood into the teams. Again, a conversation I had with someone was they're thinking about implementing this new technology. They were talking about two of their team members with it. And they said just flippantly, oh yeah, that technology can do what you've been doing for 20 years and automate all of that. And it was like, oh, hang on, have I just upset them? But then pause for a minute. Those people are probably going to retire in 2 years. Who's going to come and do that job and want to do it the way they've always done it? So actually bringing those tools in creates us a more sustainable environment for our finance functions to grow and bring talent in. So I think it's twofold. It's not just the here and now service capacity and kind of money savings. It's actually about, well, where is our long-term journey as a finance function?
Yeah, and when we talk about attracting talent to the sector, right, there is an expectation amongst today's job seekers that they're going to go into a progressive organisation that is equipped to work in the way that they are expecting to work.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the internet generation who are used to using Amazon and web services, daily. You ask them to then start keying data in, manually and tabbing across lots of screens, to get to different things. They're not gonna want to do that for very long.
It's a really, really good point. Same with you, Mohit. Just for this next point, public sector is going through a period of massive change.
Yeah.
At the moment, we know what's coming down the line pretty quickly. Does that help or hinder adoption of AI? You've got this sort of, on the one hand, I guess it's the perfect time to modernize, but on the other hand, you're competing for attention and budgets and everybody's time, right?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
So I think it's the perfect time to plan for change.
Yep.
So build in AI into your roadmap. So if I look at the journey Sovereign Network Group did, our step one was bring everything onto one common platform, get a modern platform, but with an eye forward that will say, yes, we want to implement AI, we want to implement automation down the road. How do we create processes today that give us the capacity and the roadmap to go there rather than to re-engineer in 2 years' time? So we're not start with the end in mind. That's a cliche. I think so. This is the perfect opportunity while you're modernizing, know where that can take you.
Yeah, Andy, what are you saying to organisations that ask that question when you come in?
Well, that's an interesting one. And Mojo and I was talking earlier, there's a reality for us in public sector. Change is a constant.
Yep.
Right. So you can't say, change, is now the right time. Now is the right time because change is constant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you can't wait for this sort of stuff. So I think organizations do need to get on with it. What I will say, though, just to taper that, is we do need to think about organizations' maturity as part of our conversation as well. Some organizations will be more ready than others. And I think coming back to Mohit's points, and it is, again, working with vendors, working with industry advisors, etc., understanding where you are in your journey so that you're not just doing stuff for the sake of doing, but you're actually understanding the impact it'll have now, next week, next month, next year. So make sure you understand your journey and then go on that journey.
Yeah.
And there are some within the sector who, won't have started that journey very much at all. And do you have a piece of advice or guidance for the one place to sort of start with AI? I guess if they're a bit curious or they're hearing a lot, right, about the potential benefits of AI, but might not yet have had an opportunity to get into really complex systems or anything like that. Is there a sort of message for those looking to get involved, but not quite sure where it goes?
Yeah, again, I'll emphasize, speak to the vendors, right?
Yeah.
Really understand what is available. And work with the vendors to understand what's a good starting point for you again as well. I'm just thinking about that maturity curve, right? Doing AI for the sake of AI is never a good thing. So choose your AI journey carefully. Make sure it's something that'll have an impact without disrupting the business. But as there's always, and there's a lot of stuff around the press for this at the moment, right? There is always that, if I'm doing AI for the sake of AI, I'm not going to see a return on investment. And again, public sector is, they're not cash rich. So again, make sure you're investing in the right sort of stuff that'll have a huge impact really quickly.
So that's really interesting for people that have been on the journey a little bit, actually, Mohit, because in the private sector, you do hear about organizations using AI for the sake of being able to say they're using AI. How important was it for you as an organization to focus on the problem you want to fix or the outcome you want to achieve, and then what AI can do to help you along that?
And I think that is the key thing. I think when we started our procurement journey, we knew AI was coming because the hype has been around for 3 to 5 years, but the specific tool sets that we can use in finance perhaps weren't ready then. So it's very much it's a tool that delivers a solution. So there's so much hype, it has kind of achieved this mythic status. It's not a silver bullet to everything. So So like all problem solving, what's your problem statement?
Yep.
How are you going to fix it? How are you going to tackle it? So, for us actually going live, yes, we want to stabilize the platform and do lots of AI stuff later, but actually now we can start bringing in AI to supplement our OCR for invoice processing. We can start using AI to help with our cash and bank reconciliations, because there's good tools and good use cases against that, and they're highly repeatable processes. So you start there and grow your capability, and then you think of your next problem, just chip away and move them. It's not just saying AI will fix everything, because actually it won't.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, I know Workday have launched your enterprise AI copy and paste economy research.
We did.
Looking at the time we spend on manual, repetitive work. What did you learn that feels particularly relevant for public sector leaders listening to this now?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. So for anybody that's curious, definitely go and read the research, because I think it's a really good big piece of research. We all do it, right? We take data from one system, we copy and paste it across into another system. And if you think about simple use cases like, if I want to go and do a job requisition, for example, and I want to do a job description, guess what? I'll probably type it somewhere, I'll copy and paste it, puts it somewhere else, etc. Right? So sometimes that's okay, but generally it's not. If you're going to think about adoption of AI, and again, using some of the examples that Mo referenced there, make sure your AI is embedded within your business systems. We talk about a thing, probabilistic versus deterministic. AI relies on data. If you're taking data from external and then you bring it into your systems, there's a chance that that data isn't accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So layer the AI on top of your existing business systems and business data, because that probabilistic becomes deterministic, because your business data is fixed. It is deterministic. Putting AI on top of that, it helps the AI to be accurate. And we all said with the hallucinations, I like to talk about a use case where somebody posted on a social chat about this great lineup for a concert he was going to, and everybody went like, but they haven't published it. Because what do you mean nobody's published it as well? And then he went back to there. It's like, where did you get this? Oh, I couldn't find something, so I just made it up. Right? So be really careful. Make sure that AI is embedded within your business processes, within your business systems.
Yeah.
Don't copy and paste from external to internal, because there's a high chance you're going to bring in errors, not accurate data.
Yeah, and look, public sector's done so much work in recent years to join up systems and join up information and make sure that data is progressing through the different elements of the different parts of the organization. It would be silly now to put something in the middle of that isn't joined up and isn't linked up with everything else. Andy, brilliant. Thank you for that on the research. If people want to download it, they can find it via your website, presumably.
Absolutely find it via websites. Otherwise, for anybody that's still at the public finance, come and find us on our stand. We can point you at that, or just reach out to me or my team directly as well.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Andy, Mohit, that's been a really fascinating talk through how AI can really help public sector organisations to find efficiencies and move forward in a progressive way. If people want to get in touch with either or both of you, what's the easiest way to do that? Andy first.
LinkedIn. Yeah. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm there. Drop us a message, and like I said, I can respond directly, or I can put you in touch with all of my team.
Yeah, and that's Andy Ventor, Ventor.
TER.
Okay, it's your name. I know that's not good. Right, I had it right in my list. Everybody gets it wrong. And Mohit, same for you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, LinkedIn. It's easier to get hold of me.
Brilliant. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate your time. It's a great conversation. And enjoy the rest of PF Live 2026.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for your time.
You've been listening to an episode of our Public Finance Live podcast series, brought to you by the PF editorial team directly from CIPFA's 2026 annual conference in London, England. You can listen to our full series of episodes on the big issues being discussed at this year's conference by searching PF Live wherever you get your podcasts.